I'm fucking just fighting a cold all week, and I've been fine all day, and all of a sudden it's just like start hacking.
That fucker's got Ebola. That's what he's got.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so
we got a West Coast infection going on here.
So Sykes texted me before, like, you're drinking on the show. I'm like, Sykes, you're a grown man. You wanna drink? Pour yourself a drink, man.
I poured myself a drink. There you go.
Like, even if I wasn't, you're having a drink on the show. People are like, oh, Sykes is an alcoholic. It's late at night. You're allowed to have a drink. You went to work. It's Thursday night. It's not like you're drinking at 9 a.m.
Doesn't even sound good.
It's not like you're drinking a giant quart of beer like me. Like I'll get a. All right, I guess I'll do the hot opening now. All right, welcome to the Discard Pile. I'm your host, John Corbett. It's November. I don't fucking know. I don't even know. It's dark. It's cold.
November 13th. Lucky 13.
Is it the 13th? All right. It's dark. It's cold. The polar vortex has come down. I think you two are actually on the sides. You're avoiding the polar vortex.
Yeah, my wife's in Ohio. She said it got down to 18 today during the day, and it's still in like the 50s here. So I'm like, yeah, it sucks to be you.
Yeah. It's
I
dark.
don't miss Ohio. Do not miss Ohio weather at all.
Yeah, it's dark, it's cold, and the kids are starting to bring home diseases from school. I already have one kid is puking violently all over the friggin' living room. It was.
Dude, you're in Texas. What do you mean it's cold? How does that work?
Well, I live in North Texas, but how it works? It's called weather. It's like magnets. How do they work? It's like when the air comes down from Canada, it can come the whole place. All right, my guess. I've reunited. It's an Ohio reunion tonight. Old school Ohio reunion. On the West Coast, I got the chairman, Charlie Ebola Plaine. Welcome, Charlie.
Thanks. I'm glad to be back.
Making his second. Well, they're both actually making their second appearance, I believe, for our season finale. Brian Sykes. Welcome, Brian.
Greetings. Thank you for having me back.
So, Sykes, you should be celebrating. Your boys won the election. Big day, right? You celebrating?
I can't complain. I'm still a little bit in shock and awe that Maryland actually managed to elect a Republican governor. I mean, 2 years ago I voted, and pretty much everything and everyone I voted for got completely shit-slapped by, the other side. And this time, I actually voted for some winners for once, which was kind of nice. Not expecting that in Maryland. I didn't really think we'd be the hotbed of political upheaval this time around.
Are you like an actual Republican? Like, are you like a registered Republican, or you just?
Actually, I'm unaffiliated. When I moved out here, I declined to re-register with the Republican Party because I don't really like them either. But I can't stand the Democrats, so I guess if you look at my voting record, I am more of a Republican, but I really don't like either of them.
I know that, but like I know you can register as one or the other, but like who actually you really gotta like hate the other side to register as a certain. I guess if you want to vote in the primary, some states you have to do that. But
I voted in the
California requires you have to declare where you're voting for in California for the primary, not for
the primaries.
In Maryland, you can choose to vote unaffiliated in the primary, but you don't get a party ballot. Then you only get the issues and the nonpartisan races. So when I voted back in May in the primary, I voted for one school board race that was a primary because it's. School board's nonpartisan, so
that may be the case in California now that I think about it. So, but yeah, no partisan races if you're not declared. So.
Yeah, I think Ohio has a similar law, so whatever.
Well, it's no surprise that the Republicans won because the big thing is the question is America going in the wrong direction? And it's somewhere around the mid 60% that say it does. Is that why you did it? Would you say yes to that question?
Do you think America's going in the wrong direction? I mean,
yeah, well, that's why people voted Republican. It's like most midterms. It was a referendum election, and people aren't happy. They think America's going in the wrong direction, so they vote for the other guys.
Yeah, I mean, I think America is still a very 50-50 country, so that poll question probably isn't going to move too far in one direction or the other, because it seems like in 06 and 08, the Democrats had their way with everything, and then the tide turned back around in 10 and this year, and I know Obama won election in between, but it's like, it seems like if you look at like the last 10 years of elections, all the carnage shakes out and it's about even.
Well, it's not really a political question. It's just it's a general question. Do you think America is going in the wrong direction? I don't know what the fuck that means. Charlie, what does that mean?
I mean, it's hard to say that we're going in the wrong direction when, like, we're not falling apart. I mean, you could argue that we are, but like, we're feeding the majority of our people. You know, the dollar is still relatively in good shape.
The dollar's
Jobs
in good
are.
shape. Stock markets are at an all-time high. All-time high.
I'm just saying, if the country were falling apart, you know, there would be a lot more troubles than we actually have. We've got problems and we've got issues, but I don't know that, you know, falling apart is the accurate analogy. I mean, you know, are there issues? Are there things that we need to address? Absolutely. When haven't there been in the entire history of the country? But I mean, are we moving in the wrong direction? That's like double speak. It means nothing. You know, we're not. Unless you're gay, you know, we're not like taking rights away from people, and you know, we're not, you know, locking up people for free speech, and we're not shooting people. So I mean, it's hard to say we're moving in the wrong direction if we're maintaining our.
You'd be in the minority.
morality.
You'd be in the minority. You would say that, you know, as a whole, the country's not going in the wrong direction.
Yeah, I would say that. I mean, this election is exactly what happens when the government is stupid. Like, we've done nothing for 2 years, so they go into the midterm election, and everybody's like, hey, the government isn't doing anything. I'm going to vote for the other guy. And it swoops. And all the people who are incumbents start losing elections, and they pick the other party, and it's like, okay, well, guess what? Now for 2 more years, we're really not going to get anything done. And then in 2016, everybody's going to be frustrated again, and it's going to either they'll vote a Republican president and keep the Republican Congress, and then who knows what will happen, or they'll flip-flop again. It's just kind of people. I mean, first of all, it's hard to really even get talked, you know, turned up about the election when, like, what, 24% turnout. I mean, that's just sad. But
We had 49% in Maryland.
if people are not gonna vote based on issues, and just, you know, vote based on, I don't like the guy, I don't like what they're doing now, I'm gonna vote for somebody else. And I know that's a common tactic. You know, I'm just gonna vote for somebody different and hope it's better. It's just like, well, congratulations.
Well, actually, I don't know. In the House, I think it's 84% are returning, but that's the House because the House is all rigged up by gerrymandering.
Yeah, I was going to say, despite the Republican wave that took Maryland, the entire Democratic congressional delegation got reelected because they drew all the districts in their favor. I mean, that's not unique to Maryland. But
that's not a Democrat. Like, you cannot put gerrymandering on one party versus the other.
No, I'm not.
It's bullshit, and we need to stop it. But it's just it goes. It's
Yeah,
been going
Ohio
forever.
did the same shit. They got 12 Republican districts and 4 Democrat districts, and they're a 50-50 state. I mean, Maryland's probably a 60-40 Dem state, and we have all of our congressional districts be Democratic. So, I mean, you can get really creative with the map. I mean, and yes, both parties do it. So it is what it is.
All right, so Sykes, I'm willing to bet that you'd be in the 65% that says America's going in the wrong direction. But like I said, rich people are still rich. The stock market all-time high. All the fake money is still there. Unemployment, it's around the mid-5s. It was way higher.
I'm going to paraphrase Picard and say guilty provisionally, because I think what this election really showed is that people were frustrated with the scope and scale of the federal government and what they're doing and the way they're doing it, and they took it out on the federal government. If you look at the state level, there were a lot less incumbents that got voted out at the state level than at the federal level. And I think that might not necessarily be a bad thing. I think maybe we have been depending too much on a federal level government. I mean, there's governmental functions that are best suited at different levels. There's some stuff that should be at the state level that, you know, what maybe shouldn't be at the federal level. Like, for example, take minimum wage. There were 4 different states that voted for an increase in their minimum wage. And I'm like, you know what, that's great. If people want to raise the minimum wage in their state, that's fine. But that doesn't necessarily mean that a federal minimum wage is the right answer for everybody.
I disagree, because then you run into problems in areas where border areas. You know, it's like if Ohio sets the minimum wage at $15 an hour and Kentucky sets the minimum wage at $9 an hour, who lives on the border is going to work in Kentucky? Nobody. And then you have a lot of problems. I mean, it is a federal problem because there's so much interstate commerce and so much interstate.
I would rebut that, Charlie, with the answer is who's going to work in Kentucky? The people who are going to go work for all the businesses are going to move from Ohio to Kentucky in this scenario because they don't have to pay $15 an hour to the employees.
That's not what happens. And that, like, if you look at what happened in Seattle, there's demonstrable evidence that raising the minimum wage increases business, not decreases it. Like it's literally happened in the city of Seattle over the past year. That they passed a $15 minimum wage law, and all these businesses campaigned so hard against it because it's like, we're going to go out of business, we're going to have to lay off staff, and now they're all like opening new locations because when you pay people a living wage, they invest in their workplace. You know, they don't have to work 2 jobs to pay their rent and feed their family. They can work 1 job and spend more of that money in the local economy. The argument that we're going to lose money because we have to pay the employees more is ridiculous, because if you pay employees a wage where they can actually have spending money, guess what? They spend it. And businesses all benefit from that.
Right, but this is all well and good because you guys, you're smart guys and you think about the issues. But guess what? People don't vote about the issues. They vote about how they feel. And somehow Americans as a whole feel like the country is going in the wrong direction, and they sure do not like Obama. This is what his polling numbers are. How did they convince? Why do the majority of Americans feel that way? I don't understand. Like I said, the rich people got their money. Unemployment is low. It's lower than it was when, say 6 or 7 years ago. I know that's the whole thing. They're trying to say rural America is still hurting. It's still, it's the middle of the country that's still hurting. But guess what? Rural America has been in the shitter for 30 years. It's nothing new going on there. So how do they convince? I don't understand how Republicans convinced the white guy who's struggling. That's who's voting. Those white old people. How do they convince those people that America is going in the wrong direction?
I'm not sure the Republican Party really convinced those people of anything. I mean, these same types of people are the most likely to be their Tea Party types. The Tea Party people aren't really that happy with the Republicans either. I mean, I think there were a lot of people who voted in this election who saw the Republicans as the lesser of 2 evils. So I'm not sure there's a lot of, reaching out and embracing the elephant at this point. I think it's sort of, well, we got 2 shitty choices. Let's go with the less shitty one that's not in power. Maybe they'll do something right. I don't know.
Well, it's true. I'm a firm believer in that you get the government you deserve. And Charlie made a point earlier about turnout. And Wisconsin is a state of 5.5 million people. Now, I know they're all not over 18, but only less than 1 million voted for their own governor.
Well,
so, yeah.
And I'll tell you what, this is a truism. Whichever party figures out young people matter is going to, dominate. Because it's true, because both the Democrats and the Republicans throw token efforts behind, go out and vote, and targeting the young, hip internet Tumblr crowds. They do a little bit of it, but they do it as an afterthought, and then they push late, Whichever party figures out, hey, there's a lot of young people that are very potentially unhappy with the way things are going. We should go after that group, because really, this is the thing when you look at voter turnout.
Why would Republicans do that? When old white people vote and everyone else doesn't, Republicans win. That's exactly what I was saying. If you look at the voter turnout, the people who go out and vote every time are the wealthy people, because they know the only way they're going to get what they want is if they turn out and vote, and everybody else doesn't. And if you get the people who aren't the wealthy white American or the wealthy whatever American to vote, and I'm not saying that Republicans are bad or conservatism is bad. I mean, my views are very complicated, but it's to me, it's all gonna come down to the political machines of the 2 parties are antiquated. That they're very old school. They're doing things the way they've done things for 20 plus years, and one of the reasons Obama won in 2008 was because he started to do things differently. He started to go after the young people and do a real more, grassroots type of campaign, and it worked. And it worked again in 2012. It was also a national election. Presidential elections make people tune in.
Well, yeah, they always draw more, sure. The midterms are always kind of low, and you expect that, but this is an all-time low.
Why? How come people that are under 40 don't understand that Congress is kind of important, and they just don't give a fuck about it? Most people don't even understand how Congress works, much less, why they can vote for it. Midterm, and that's why you have this group of people. And people are just getting older and older. They're just a large segment of the population, and until other people, You know, if the blacks, Hispanics, and young people vote more, that's what you're going to get. I'm going to switch the topic to something a little less serious than politics and government. There's a woman, I forget where, doing a routine C-section. She lost her pulse for 45 minutes. I don't know. That sounds like bullshit right there. Anyway, she loses her pulse for 45 minutes. They're about to, pull the plug, move it like a miracle. The thing beeps. They bring her back to life. She wakes up, and I guess there's a quote. The quote was, "I remember a force telling me it's not time yet, that it's not my time, blah, blah, blah." I have a problem with these near-death experiences. I gotta call bullshit on it. Isn't it ego? Isn't it when you almost die, they tell you, oh yeah, you flatline for a while, and you wake up, and isn't it bullshit? It's such ego to think that, oh, well, I have a purpose now. I'm not talking about your beliefs, life after death stuff. I'm talking about your body tuned out for a little bit, and then you spark back on, because biology, I would guess. Isn't it just ego to wake up and think that's a reason now to live? Maybe your body just didn't want to die.
Well, I mean, you could be right, but if you believe in the whole "I have a purpose" thing, then your near-death experience shouldn't create that purpose. Like, I agree, you shouldn't wake up and say, well, now my life's been useless up to this point. I mean, if you believe that that's sort of thing, if you're subscribe to some of the Christian doctrines that say God has a plan for all of us and that sort of thing, then that should be true before this near-death experience, not because of it. So it might be a wake-up call to give you some perspective, and maybe that's what this is, and that's your expression of that perspective. But I don't think you necessarily either you almost dying and waking back up was part of God's plan, or there was no plan, and
well, she didn't do it.
Whatever.
She didn't do it religiously, and that's right. You know what? We've all had wake-up calls. We all woke up. We all had a moment where oh shit, I better get my shit together. And yeah, almost dying would be oh wow, man, I wasted a lot of my stuff. But this was, I remember a force telling me. I guess it was episode 7. I guess the force awoken it, or some sort. Isn't that? It's just pure ego, right? Is in my mind, it's just everyone's important. Everyone thinks I'm you're just fucking. You almost croaked. It happens all the time.
Well, I mean, I can't say whether she had a near-death experience or not, but nobody's studying the brain activity at near death because they're trying to keep you from dying. So, I mean, maybe she did. I'm not a strong religious guy. I'm not a strong believer in dogma or anything like that. But I do believe in faith. But I imagine the near-death experience for people. Probably the best analogy is like a dream, and dreams are all based on the subconscious of the dreamer. So I mean, if you were raised Christian, and in hearing stories of God and heaven and near-death, experiences, if you have a near-death experience, whether that's an actual message from God or random neurons firing or the equivalent of a dream, of course it's going to fit into your expectations. Now, I mean, if the woman had been, a devout Muslim or completely atheist and came out of it with this different experience, then I don't know. It's so subjective. You can't actually talk about it because there's no way to prove or disprove what the woman experieed.
Yeah.
All I can say is after hearing Charlie's answer, I have a sudden urge to discard my hand. He's talking about the dreamer and the dream. I don't know.
That's it. You know what? That's the moral of the story. You know what? At the end of the turn, sometimes you got to discard your hand. It's ego to think that. It's ego to think that when I wake up, well, it must be a reason I woke up. No, we're all biological. We're all designed to not die. Everything on this planet is always just fighting to survive. And if you almost die and then you didn't die, it's just ego to put something on top of that. That's Charlie's right. It's just a dreamer in the dream, man. Discard your hand. The turn's over. Move on. The only other part of that story that really that irked me is the phrase "routine C-section." Now I'm a man. I got 3 kids. They all came out the old-fashioned way, right out of the baby chute. Sykes, did your woman have, what is it, your third? Is it your second?
Yeah, we just had our third, and this last one was a routine C-section that was done as a risk mitigation method as a result of the previous deliveries. Yeah, she had a little trouble with our second one. He got his shoulder stuck in the birth canal because he was so big, and this guy was bigger, so the OB recommended that we do a planned C-section on this time, and he came out and he was the biggest of the three. So when the
No.
doctor looks over to my wife and says, "Hey, you made the right call," it is what it is. I'm going to follow the expert's advice on that one.
Well, and I think the term routine C-section is just 20 years ago. A C-section was a very dangerous and risky operation, and nowadays
it's still a serious surgery.
It's a major surgery, and there is risk to it, but the risk in the C-section now is greatly reduced versus the risk of a C-section 5-10 years ago. I think that's where the word routine comes from. It's like, this is planned.
We've been doing it.
Yeah, so that routine C-sections routine C-sections are a lot safer, but emergency C-section today carries as many risks, if not, as 20 years ago. I mean, if you're getting wheeled into the emergency room because something's going wrong, then there's a lot of variables in play at that point. I mean, fortunately for us, we didn't have to deal with that. It was actually very procedural and straightforward, so things went okay.
I think it's funny that a bunch of dudes are sitting around talking about C-sections, but you know what? Like I said, I'm a father, and women give it a hard time. But like I said, and in your situation, a little bit different. Kind of the same deal with my 3 kids. Each got progressively bigger and more difficult, and they all, like I said, they all came out the old-fashioned way, like a fucking clown car. Just kept coming out every couple of years. But they call it routine because, in 1965, it was 4.5%. In 2011, now 32.8% of kids are coming out with a C-section. That's nearly 1/3 of the babies being born in America now. We're human beings. We've been having babies for millions and millions of years, just fine. And now all of a sudden, we got to keep cutting women open.
I don't know. I would question the just fine conclusion there, man. I mean, how many people died in childbirth 100 years ago compared to today?
Yeah.
I mean,
the percent. I'm talking about percentage-wise. 1/3 is crazy. And now we're slicing women open like the ice planet on Star Wars. We're slicing them open like the damn hard and pulling the babies out. But it's just, I think it's probably more money. They can get more money in the bill instead of that's, like I said, it's a serious surgery. But it's also, and I hate to say it, maybe it's women. Maybe when they hear they can have a baby cut out of them instead of having to push it out, which is, trust me, it's the most violent, terrible thing a human being can witness. Is it hard to say that maybe women are trying to take the easy way out? Am I a bad person for thinking that?
I think, yes, you're a bad person for thinking that.
Really? You don't
that doesn't make you wrong, however. I think there probably isn't. You have validity in your argument, but yes, you're a terrible person.
No, that's right. You're all scared right now. So all right. So if you're saying there's validity to it, then I'm not a bad person, and I have to say it because I think what was it? The World Health WHO, more than 50% does more harm than good. Babies that are born with a C-section and the mom are more likely to have adverse effects later on. So it's really not healthy. It's not good that we're having all these C-sections, and that's just my 2 cents. Women just push the baby out. It's not. It's terrible.
I will tell you guys the same thing I've told many people over the years. Watching my daughter being born, which she was my first one 4 years ago. Watching my wife push her out. Never in my life, either before or since, have I been more grateful that I was born with a Y chromosome, because I do not want to go through that shit. So props to the women who actually make that happen for us.
Well, our chat room scientist, Neil Timmons, said 200 years ago, most babies didn't live to age 2. I think that's bullshit, actually. I don't think probably 1/3 didn't make it to adulthood, but that's probably getting eaten by a...
No, I mean, I like, my grandma had a little brother that died in some horrible accident on a farm, and I mean, I think it was maybe not age 2, but
Yeah,
a third would not surprise me. I don't think that's an unreasonable statistic. Like, I think that's possible.
I was telling my daughter, that's why people had 8 kids even 100 years ago, because most likely 2 of them were probably going to die of polio or something terrible. But we don't have to do that anymore. It doesn't mean...
that plus 150 years ago, you needed the help on the farm. You needed the extra hands. I mean, you had to sort of create your own labor force. So that's not really the case anymore. We got tracked.
Kids got sick and kids died. It was just part of life. It just happened. I think it's just all racket so they can jack up the medical bills. All right, Sykes, your boy, the big news back in politics, your boy Obama went to China. So apparently...
My boy Obama?
Your boy Obama. Apparently Nixon is the only one who can go to China. It's Obama. And then when Obama's there, apparently he cut this handshake deal about climate change. And I get sad when Mitch McConnell starts making sense to me, but this deal is bullshit, right? This whole we agree to China like 15 years they'll start maybe cutting carbon, and then we're supposed to do this and that. It's not a treaty. Only treaties matter, right? This deal that's non-binding. This is bullshit, right?
I'll be honest. I am not familiar with the details of this particular issue, but I will say at least it's finally making sense to people here that the United States is not the creator of all the pollution in the world, and maybe we should take a step back until the rest of the world decides to come along with us, because all we're doing is for ourselves.
They showed a clip of people running a marathon in China, and they're all wearing the Michael Jackson surgery mask and running marathons. Like, who wants to run a marathon in nice weather, much less in this?
There's a lot of shitty air in this world, man, and most of it's not here. I mean, Afghanistan was the same way. Now, it was mainly dust, but I mean, that was,
It's shrapnel.
Yeah, all that too. I don't know. I mean, I think we don't have Kevin on here to give us, but my understanding is that unless you have a treaty, it doesn't really have the force of law.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
We're going to tell China, hey, stop polluting, and then they don't. And we're like, okay, we're going to write you a strongly worded letter. Well, shit, that'll solve the issue.
Look, it's significant because for the first time ever, the two powers on the planet that contribute the most to pollution have said we should probably do something about this. It's not a binding treaty. It's not a resolution. It's not anything. It's an acknowledgement that there is an environmental problem. That in and of itself is fairly miraculous.
Are you sure that the U.S. and China are the two biggest polluters? I mean, I think India.
Come on.
They are
No
easily.
question. There's no question.
I'm not trying to be a smart-ass. Like, honestly, given all the EPA stuff that we've had over the last 40 years, are we still, top of the list? I'm thinking India, I'm thinking Russia, I'm thinking China, I mean...
Their economies aren't even close to ours. Their consumption of fossil fuels is not even close. Who are the biggest...
Yeah, basically, you got to understand that China, once you go outside the big city, you're basically going back to the Middle Ages. There's still people in the fields with the hats, getting the rice in the rivers.
Okay. I type in who are the biggest polluters in the world, and Google comes up with a highlight saying China and the United States, the world's two largest economies, are responsible for emitting nearly half the planet's carbon dioxide.
Well, there you go,
China
Sykes. That's
overtook the United States in 2006.
You what?
I'm just saying, it's not rocket science to say. I mean, I could understand your argument that there's other, and I'm not saying they're not contributing, but clearly the U.S. is up there.
Yeah, we're putting a lot of shit. Speaking of rocket science, apparently we landed a satellite on a comet, and by we I mean not us. I mean Europeans landed a satellite on a comet. Sykes, man, you Republican guys, when they're bashing Obama, you're all like, oh, he's leading from behind. He's leading from behind. Why is leading from behind okay in space? How come we're letting everyone else do awesome shit in space, and we're like, fuck it, no one in America cares.
Who said it was okay? I mean, I think it was Obama who shut down the space shuttle program and, said, NASA, your job is now Muslim outreach or something like that. I heard a couple of years. Yeah, I remember we were putting men on the moon, not that long ago, and now it's just like...
I remember George Bush coming out with a cowboy hat and saying, we're going to Mars, and everyone's like, yeah, all right, George. So, I mean...
Yeah, I mean, at least he was dreaming big. I mean, I don't know how possible going to Mars with a manned mission is. I mean, there's a lot that goes into that. We probably, would need a couple decades if we started today. But, I mean, the fact that our space program has pretty much been mothballed, it makes me sad. I mean, I was a kid who grew up going to space camp wanting to be an astronaut. So, I'm not happy about the current state of things. And
I think.
Yeah, I mean, props to the Europeans for actually landing this thing on a comet. That's kind of cool.
The fiscal
we're landing shit on Mars and whatnot. And
the fiscal priorities of our. Let's talk about some Star Trek and not.
Yeah, I was just going to say, well, we're having some internet hiccups, and the mob's getting restless. In the chat room, they want some Trek, but all right, let's give them the Trek. All right, we're gonna keep it. I was gonna ask a generic question. This is the season finale. This is it for the year, and we can always. I want to do the generic. Oh well, Charlie, what was a big success and biggest failure from the last year? Screw that. Just give me, throw it back to good card, bad card. Just give me the good and give me the bad about this year.
I mean, I'd say the biggest. Man, that's tough.
It's not that hard, but like, don't cry.
I'm not crying. Sorry. But I'd say the biggest. Fuck, I'm dying. Apparently, Brian, go first.
Well,
All right, so
this thing about
not being a member of the continuing committee, I can only speak for myself as a player. And from my perspective, I think the biggest success was the World Championship weekend of series of events at Gen Con. Not just the championships themselves, but the side gigs and the turnout and everything. Gen Con was a blast. I had a great time. I almost feel like this is a double-edged sword because I'm also going to say that one of the worst things of the year, and you can call it a failure or not, it might be a little bit fast and loose with that definition, but I think, and I'm going out on a limb here, and I sincerely hope I'm wrong, but I think one of the reasons that we had the controversy we did and the turnout we did at Worlds is I believe that there is some sort of subtle vibe amongst the player group that the game is on a downward track and is declining, and maybe this year's Worlds was like a last chance to win a championship or see very often, that sort of thing. Because it's like it was great seeing everybody, but I thought back and like these are people I haven't seen for a decade, and I'm not sure when I'll see them again. And I wasn't the only person feeling that way, and I know that Charlie and people are taking steps to to help mitigate that and prove it wrong on that. But it's like I almost felt like the dude from that one episode of Star Trek where it's like you get to a certain age and you got to go kill yourself or something like that, and everyone gets together and has a big party. I'm afraid that Gen Con was the party this year.
Hold on, Gen Con for you was like insurrection? Like everyone just felt like, oh, we're getting old, this sucks? I didn't get that.
No, not insurrection.
That wasn't insurrection. No, I'm sorry, but no, it was, right?
I don't know the episode. It's the one with Timothy, whatever the hell that episode is.
I know you're talking about I know the episode you're talking about. The whole theme about insurrection was getting old. It was all about they're all like, we got to move on, and we all got to get card banged.
Oh, okay. I wasn't drawing that parallel, but whatever.
You trying to forget about that movie like most people? I don't know, man. I didn't get that vibe. I didn't feel like it was anything. People, That
well, I think, and maybe I'm taking too long and too depressing a view on this. It could be that people realize, hey, it's a great World Championship, we're having a great time, and the next time we'll see each other is maybe 3 years from now because of the rotation. Because I mean, a lot of these people don't travel, around the world, and I think it sort of goes to the general organized play in North America issue that people have been struggling with for the last, year or 2 years or so. I mean, the numbers seem to be showing that we have some fences to mend here on this continent.
All right. Well, Sykes kind of depressed me for no good reason. All right, Charlie. So
you asked me for best and worst, man. I'm giving it to you straight.
I understand. I don't know if I really agree. Like I said, maybe some people showed up because they knew there was not going to be a Worlds in 2 more years. Maybe it might be one or I don't know how many people do that. I think most people go to Gen Con and go anyway. It's not because of the title of Worlds. It'll get you a couple extra. All right, Charlie, give me the bad this year.
The bad? I don't think we improved enough on the areas we needed to improve on. Like, I think we took some. I think we made some decisions and we took a few forward steps, but like we're still not announcing our events far enough ahead. We're still not consistently releasing expansions. We're still dealing with some, community drama every now and then. I think that while we've set plans in place and taken steps forward, at this point last year versus this point this year, very little forward progress has been made on those issues. Now I'm much more confident. If you ask me this question next year, this will be in the good side because I've seen. I know announcements are coming soon for all of 2015, and they're already working on 2016 event schedules. So I'm confident that we'll start seeing events announced sooner with further lead time. And
it's interesting. Without naming names, and I'm not bashing everybody because we've both been through this. Is there at some point there's volunteer fatigue? I think that's a good way. I think I just invented that in my mind right now. As you're doing designing sets and you're doing, and it's happened. Come on, let's be honest here. It's happening in art. It's happening. There's not a lot of articles. It's just volunteer fatigue.
Sure.
This game, this game's been going on for 20 years. We're having the 20. We're going to get to the good right now, which is the 20th anniversary set. But after volunteering for years and years, it's so college that you got some fatigue and it's hard to keep putting. I can imagine just being in art. You got to put out the same. You got to find the pictures. And after how many times are you going to do that and keep being excited to do that? It's just going to happen. So now maybe we just got something to keep the volunteer fatigue. It's sometimes. Sometimes you don't want to do a design meeting. Even we're guilty of it too.
I think we have some things on the agenda to deal with that. I think one of the things and one of the things we've struggled with for years, we haven't been fully staffed. There's almost constantly been a position open. We had to get a director of organized play. We had to get a brand manager for 1E and 2E the year before. We had to get a new North American Continental coordinator. This is the first time in a long time we've got everybody on deck and nobody planning on leaving. And that's exciting. With the two brand managers in place, they've started planning release schedules out through 2019. So you're going to start seeing more consistent releases, which is important. That'll help drive excitement. I mean, it's hard to drive excitement for a game when it's like, oh, we'll put out a set in January and then there's nothing until September, and it's just kind of like, that's hard. We need to be, and we've been working, and you know this, John, we've been working for a while at switching from we got to make 54 cards to we got to have cards ready for April. And that's going to mean you're going to see, a 36 card set or a 27 card set and then a 54 card set. It's going to be more variable, but you're going to be consistent. And that's good too for high level play because it means the metagame will constantly be moving. It's not going to be the same pool of cards for months and months and months on the time. All of these things will help drive excitement and drive better planning, better consistency. All of that's going to drive passion. And that's.
Yeah, and it's a little bit easier on our end. If you're doing design, it's a little bit more because it's more creative. But if you're doing something like art, which is kind of you make something good looking at the end, but really it's just computer graphics and whatnot, and you gotta, from Loban's perspective, you always got to be keeping up on shit falling apart on the interwebs, and then Kirk, you got to keep coming up with stories. Eventually, how exciting is that going to be? And it's good to see. I see their art's looking for some additional help, and you just got to find people who want to help out, and you got to. If you need a person,
this is something that I've stressed a lot lately. I don't want anybody who's volunteering to keep volunteering past the point where they're having fun. Like if you're a volunteer anywhere in the organization, from the playtester level all the way up to myself, as soon as it's not fun and it becomes a job, you should come talk to me and look to step down and find somebody else to do it for a while, or shift gears and try something different. As soon as this becomes a chore, there's always going to be elements of it. Like there are times where it's like, man, I have so much to do today, and that's different. You just don't want to do it anymore. It's time to move on and have somebody else.
All right, we're getting into the committee nitty-gritty. Let's get to the game again. Let's go back to the game. So we got the 20th anniversary.
Neil's complaining. He wants actual Star Trek talk, so,
Yeah, so so we got the 20th article. We got the nostalgia juices flowing. So basically, in a nutshell, why should anyone give a shit about the 20th anniversary set?
Because it's awesome. I mean, it's...
Okay, all right. Why? If I'm feeling a little fatigued, not just Trek fatigued, I'm like, what? That guy, this guy sucks at designer. That guy sucks at designer. Well, you got some feed. What's getting me excited about that?
The number one reason is nostalgia. I mean, these cards, not only were they made to be cards that are playable in the modern environment, they're made to evoke memories. When you look at dedication, and this happened on the 2E thread talking about dedication plaque, everybody's like, meh, it's not a great card. Everybody starts talking about, but actually this kind of reminded me of Premiere, and that reminded me of these fun things that happened. So I'm going to raise its score a little bit, and I'm like, that's the point. Like every single one of these 36 cards should do that to somebody.
And since we're having an Ohio reunion, the first text I got from your buddy Josh Sheets was, if you were on this team, I hope you did something better than dedication plaque. I said, first of all, Josh, that was my card. That was my card, and the job is for it to feel like it's part of a set. I was like, tell me that's not part of fucking Premiere. He's like, yeah. Like, well, that's the fucking point.
Yeah, I was gonna say I cannot think of a deck that I currently have built or plan on building that would use that card. But as soon as I saw it, I'm like, that is such a 2E Premier card. You nailed the theme of 2E Premier. I give you full props for that, John.
But I'll tell you what though, and this is the thing. Once people see the full sets, there's a lot of, somehow with like 8 people working on the cards, we somehow managed to make cards that work together. So like when you see the Reflections 2.0 card, this card all of a sudden gets better. There are cards. This card matters for other cards in the set, and it may not go in your typical decks. It's certainly not it's kind of like Power to the Shields. Nobody's going to put Dedication Plaque in their deck to protect themselves against the battle player. But I mean, if I'm running a speed deck, if I'm running a speed deck that already has a ship and captain in it, and all of a sudden this can get me passed outclassed without having to worry about it, I don't know. I'd have to think about playing the card.
I think that was the one gameplay quality I gave it in my review, is that it's a great way to tech around outclass with tiny crappy ships. So
wow, that's quite a pro tip. I'm glad you were there to tell me about that when I decided.
It's on the boards, man. Charlie's reading it right now, as far as I know. I mean, I threw it out there. I will say this. I'm not sure if this is public knowledge or not, but here I am. I'm gonna come out of the closet. I am a member of the proofreading team, so I have seen the set, and I'm not gonna blow any spoilers or anything like that. But I will say that one of the cards I've seen that has not been revealed yet is going to be driver of a new deck that I'm putting together. I might have to debut in December. We'll see.
Well, that doesn't give it. You can't say I'm not going to give a spoiler and then give a vague. It's funny, actually. To give Charlie some credit, because I do give him a hard time here and on the boards, we did start this. The work started on this 20th anniversary early last year, if I recall. So the file, so even I'm being spoiled about cards that I forgot about.
Well, and this one in 2E was so different. Like, it wasn't, and I mentioned this in my article. It wasn't like normally when you do an expansion, it's like there's 3 people and we have a meeting every week or 2 weeks, and we go through the card. You're looking at the cards from the minute you write them till the minute they're done. This was everybody. This was pretty much me. Hey, everybody, send me some stuff, and I put the file together, and that was it. That was the last time. And I think they got to see it maybe once more after that, and that was it. And so it was just kind of like.
Well, to take a lesson from it, that's what you do. You said, hey, everybody, give me ideas, and then you took all the good ideas, which is kind of not a good. We haven't done that. Usually, you have a team, and then you have to kind of grind your way through it. Is there any lesson that we could take from that? Maybe, I know I don't want to get into the fourth man design issue, but I don't know. It depends. I guess we'll have to figure out how much of a success.
I think it works. I think it works really well for an expansion like this, where it's like the theme is nostalgia. Go, where you're not trying to build mechanical themes across your cards. I don't think it would have worked well for like Return to Grace, where you're trying to like discard pile themed. You want to have certain things that synergize there. This one, the synergies were sort of like, I could nudge this, and because I was looking at the file, so I was like, okay, well, if I nudge this here and nudge this here, these cards synergize, so that's cool, let's do that. It wasn't. It happens to say synergy instead of planned synergy, which sure I'm sure we can learn some lessons from this. As it worked. I think the 18 cards for 2E we've put together are really solid. I'd certainly be willing to try it again in the right environment, but I don't think it would be how I want to design expansions as a default.
So this is all about nostalgia. It's all about, which is kind of harder to capture in 2E than it is in 1E. And then, like you said, right away, the trolls come out and they go, "Oh, that card sucks. That card sucks." What do you say to guys like that? What do you say to people, Charlie, who automatically have to pick apart and overanalyze fun things, right? What would you say to those people?
I mean, realistically, there's something that they're going to be excited by. Like every naysayer that's going to naysay on most. I mean, if there's somebody who's literally complaining about every single card for the sake of complaining, then that's what they enjoy, and I'm not going to take that away from them. I mean, if they want to complain about everything, they're still provoking discussion, and there are people that like to defend things. So like, somebody comes in and attacks it, and then 3 other people come in and defend it, and that's just the way it is. But it's
but sometimes that results in Charlie having to make a post saying this forum is for everybody. Let's not beat each other up.
That's because somebody starts talking about you're shitty and horrible and you you fillet men for pleasure, and there's just it always crosses a line, which is when it becomes a problem. But I mean, ultimately, I strongly take the philosophy that, and this is a problem that I used to have, where I was trying to make it so that everybody likes everything, and that's just naive and impossible. So rather than make it so that everybody likes every card, I would rather make it so that somebody or some set of people love some of the cards, and then that means that by the everybody should be able to, every type of player out there hopefully can find something that they love about an expansion. The converse of that means there's going to be something that they hate. And I think that's better than saying I'm ambivalent about 54 cards. I would rather have strong feelings than no feelings at all.
Yeah, cause I agree with that. Because if you have a whole lot of meh, then you lose passion. That's when you lose players. That's when the game falls apart. So I think that's a good point, Charlie. I'll say that when I post my comments on on different cards, I try to come at it from a if I don't like a card, I'll try to come at it from a point of constructive criticism. Like, here's why this could be a potential issue or whatever. And I know I'm not a designer. I'm just a player. I just I troll on the boards and throw my 2 cents in, and people ignore me. That's fine. But I think it's it is good to have that discussion, and I gotta give a shout out to my boy Pat Bortz, because I know with his cards of the day and everything, I mean, I'm seeing cards pop up that I haven't looked at in years, and there's discussion going on. I'm like, oh hey, this actually still could be a good card. I could use this in the deck today. I haven't done it for a while, so it's nice to have that going, and I think that's really helped with some of the gameplay discussion and mechanics discussion recently.
I think the article should have just said, hey, it's a celebration, bitch. Fucking relax. Enjoy a set. Here's some fucking cards. We're going to have some fun. Let's take it easy one time. So,
yeah.
so that's 2014. All right, so 2015, Charlie. What should I be excited about coming up? 2015. What should give me a nice nerd boner? Or should I, what do you got on the table for me?
Well, I mean, it's going to be a good year for Trek. If all goes well, we'll see 6 expansions, 3 1E and 3 2E. Over the course of the year. We'll be
what about Tribbles?
Tribbles, we actually play tested Tribbles last week. So Tribbles is planned to come out this year. So we took a year off of Tribbles. So Tribbles players, you should be getting an expansion in 2015.
Are we targeting the April Fool's Day for tradition's sake, or is there a different release date that would be more practical?
I have no idea. I haven't gotten that far yet. We're still testing. So. I don't have a Tribbles brand manager either, so.
You don't need a fucking Tribbles brand.
So, 2015.
Danny Hammond is the Tribbles Overlord. That's his title. He's in charge of all things Tribbles.
We can be a grown-up player committee. Why am I all blurry? I'm all blurry. We try to be consistent with our event schedule. We try to be consistent with our release schedule. We announce our events ahead of time. I really think Trek Masters are going to be something special. I know there's been some, we didn't necessarily launch it the best way, but, we wanted events in North America to be run by people that were passionate about them. That's why San Diego and Maryland were chosen, because Neil and I could be on the ground in the event. But
about 2015 Masters, because I got today our new North American coordinator sent me a list of cities, and we have San Diego, of course, beginning of the year. No particular order, because I don't have the dates. So I'm not going to jump, step on Mike's toes. I invited him to come on the show to talk about it, but he didn't. He declined. So the cities are Orlando, Chicago, and Minnesota, and I'm okay with those. Just player bases in those cities. Those are good choices. Chicago, Minnesota are kind of close, same region, but you know what? East Coast has one at the end of the year, so.
If you split those out time-wise, though, that's fairly reasonable.
Well, yeah, we got two problems with this. Is that we have one in October, we have one in November, which are a month apart. That's going to be a sin. You got to space these out. If you can't do exactly 3 months, ideally, of course, you got to at least get them 2 months apart. So that's not good. And finally, my one, this is not going to work, Minnesota in November. It's November now. The quote I got was, Jeremy stated to me, Jeremy's the main guy up there, he ran Continentals. Quote is, Jeremy stated to me, the weather will be better in March than in November. Well, guess what, folks? It's November. It is 15 degrees in Minneapolis right now. There's 18 inches of snow, and 4 people have died on icy roads. What the fuck, Charlie? you can't. We can't go to fucking Minnesota in November. I'm not. I don't want to die. I don't want to die. How am I going to tell my children Daddy's had a near-death experience? The Force is telling me, Charlie. It's not telling me. It's telling me I will end up there and going into the white light if I go to fucking Minnesota in November.
That would not have been my choice, but I assume there's a good reason for it. There's probably.
I know it's hard to fit things logistically and what people want. I know Chicago wanted this, Orlando wanted that. Come on, man. You put the fucking cold cities in the summer. You put the warm cities in the winter. So I don't know. I hope maybe that is just 1 year. But I'm sorry, but what are we gonna do? What if the same weather, the polar vortex? What is Jeremy? Jeremy have a fucking crystal ball? He knows what the fucking weather is gonna be.
No, but
12 months from now,
it could be unseasonably warm. I'm just saying. And I think the plan is not to don't quote me on this, but I think some people were thinking it was always going to be the same 4 locations, and I don't think that's the idea. I think the idea is that it moves about.
As we find out what works, and what doesn't, shouldn't they set into place? I think
eventually there'll be like favorite locations, but what I'm saying is I don't think we should commit to, and I'll use Chicago as an example because it's unlikely, but if Chicago's player base dries up, we shouldn't commit to running an event in Chicago every year just because we ran an event in Chicago the year before.
No one said we should do that. No one's saying that it's not, things aren't subject to change. But we're not. Remember, the play's not the thing here. We're not really selling people sitting down and playing the game anymore. We'll go to Gen Con because to hang out with people. We're selling gatherings. We're selling people getting together.
Yeah.
We're all going to get together in Minnesota in November. I'm not getting together. I'm sorry, Sykes, I love you, but I'm not going to fucking Minnesota to see you, man.
I've never been to Minnesota. I don't know what you're talking about, man. I mean, you're looking to get me in Ohio in the wintertime. It's cold enough there.
Yeah, that's the reason why I went to Texas, to get away from the outside right now. This 15 degrees shit I'm dealing with right now. So, right, Charlie, we're selling gatherings, and right now, Minnesota in November. I don't want to end on such a negative note, but I think 2015 we got to do better. We got to do better setting those up. We got to get people together. Neil's actually doing a good job. Like I said, we got to get people together. The trips cost anywhere from $200 to $300. Then people could probably squeeze maybe going to 1 or 2 of those a year. We got to find cheap, easy locations.
Oh yeah, and we'll figure it out. We'll get it squared away. It's.
I just gotta get you on the record. Come on, man. Minnesota in November. That's a bad idea, right?
Would not have been my decision. Would not have been my choice. So.
Just remember, John, Charlie is a fan of letting his brand managers and OP directors do their jobs. So, I mean, it's going to take a lot to get a chairman's veto is what I'm hearing here.
We got a new guy on the job, and the one thing I got was, I'm trying to make this guy happy, I'm trying to make that guy happy, bada bing, bada boom, and then...
If I was going to pick 3 places to host the other 3 Masters in 2015, I probably would have been Orlando, Chicago, and Minneapolis. I probably would have switched Minneapolis and Orlando, but that's just me. So.
Yeah, I'm okay with the cities. Like I said, the cities are fine. We just got to space them out a little bit and get better locations.
Yeah, I mean, if you're doing San Diego in January, which is a great call, by the way, well, why not do in June before you get into the continental season? Because do Chicago in like
I
August,
said,
September, and then hit Florida when it gets cold again. I mean that.
I'm not privy to the decision-making process. I assume this was set up the way it was for a reason. I assume that will be explained to us when they announce the events. I have faith in the people that are making these decisions.
But to put it, I'm not saying people making these decisions are doing anything on purpose, but I think the local organizers are putting their best interest ahead of it's not what's best for your local play. The point of Masters is to get people to go from outside your play group. We're not running fucking locals here, and hearing that this is best for my group right here.
But I agree that that's a factor. But if you're sacrificing your local group to cater to the outsiders, you're doing it wrong. You have to.
Then you got to do it somewhere else. Sorry, if Minnesota in November works for Minnesotans, that's great. They have a tournament. Good luck, have fun. But it's not. Then it doesn't work for Masters. Sorry, you don't get a Masters that year. It's just we gotta get people traveling. We gotta get people going. Maryland's gonna draw. I hope we take a look at San Diego and Maryland and we figure out what's good, what's bad, and we get it going. I hope we get that worked out. I hope Sykes doesn't get old and keeps going to Gen Cons. I don't know why he thinks, How old are the kids now, Sykes?
My daughter's 4, my older son's 2, and then we got the baby. So I got 3 kids
Okay.
under 5.
That's it, man. It's time to retire, man. All right, we're gonna see you at we seeing you at Maryland Masters.
I'm working on it.
Oh, I guess can you call Mrs. Sykes and ask her if you can come?
Yeah, I right now I'm working on building up the man cred, doing some stuff around the house.
You know what?
Doing
No,
exactly
I'm going
what
back.
it's
I had to yell at people on the boards about when we were deciding locations, and they go, "Well, that doesn't work for my wife," and blah blah blah. I don't want to hear about people's fucking wives when it comes to figuring out how logistically how to do things. That's between you and your goddamn wife. That's your problem's not mine. All right. Well, I hope people get that figured out by 2015. That's all we got. Hopefully, we'll see you next year. Maybe yes, maybe no. Hopefully, we clean up the quality a little bit. Internet doesn't go fucking out. See y'all next year. Like Greasy Ducat, I'm kicking everyone out of the Discord pile. Good night.